Have you ever felt like you're in a relationship where love should set you free, but only holds you back? Where instead of growing, you shrink. Instead of expanding, you slowly begin to fade, quietly, without anyone noticing. Not even you. This is the cruelest kind of prison, the one disguised as affection, as care, as promises of forever. A prison without visible bars, but with emotional walls that close in on you until you forget who you were before you loved. Mary Esther Harding, one of Carl Jung's most devoted students, once said that the greatest danger to the feminine soul is not abandonment, it's imprisonment. When a woman gives up her essence to fit into a relationship that doesn't honour who she truly is, she begins to lose herself. And worse, she believes that this is love. But it's not. This love that demands your silence, your constant submission, your endless self-denial. This love that makes you walk on eggshells, that keeps you from growing, from shining, from thinking differently. That's not love. It's control. It's fear. It's possession. And do you know why it's so hard to see? Because we've been taught from a young age that true love involves sacrifice, that a real woman gives in, understands, waits, fixes. Culture handed us a script. Be sweet, be available, don't be too much, don't scare him, don't overthink, don't say no. And without realising it, we accept living in an emotional cell labelled serious relationship. But the soul knows. It screams. First in small signs, insomnia, anxiety, unexplained exhaustion, random crying. Then comes the emptiness, the feeling of being with someone, yet feeling deeply alone. The loss of your own voice, the struggle to look in the mirror and recognise yourself. Harding said it clearly. When a woman stops being who she is in order to keep a relationship, she gets sick. The unconscious fights back. The shadow, all that's been repressed, begins to emerge in the form of pain. Because nothing that denies the soul can last without consequences, but there is a way out, and it begins with awakening. In part 2, we'll dive into the invisible mechanics of these relationships, why you enter them, why you stay in them, and what to do when you start realising that what you've been calling love is actually keeping you from living. So take a deep breath, because you might be about to ask yourself the most important question of your life. Am I in this relationship out of love or out of fear of being alone? If that question stirs something in you, keep going. You're not alone, and this is only the beginning. Have you ever wondered why, even though you realise you're unhappy, you still stay in that relationship? Why is it so hard to leave, even when the pain is constant? The answer isn't just on the surface of your consciousness. It lies in the deepest layers of your psyche. Mary Esther Harding said that the feminine unconscious carries, generation after generation, an ancient conditioning. That love is something to be earned through effort, sacrifice, and obedience. This idea, planted centuries ago, still lives in many of us, even if silently. From a very young age, we learn to shape ourselves to be accepted. We learn to observe, please, avoid conflict, minimise our pain so we wouldn't be called too sensitive, complicated, or selfish. And so when we enter a relationship, we carry this idea that if love hurts, the problem must be us. Then we begin to blame ourselves, to adjust, to diminish. And that's where the danger lies. Because this self-negation, which seems like an act of love, is actually a silent pact with your own imprisonment. Every time you silence an opinion to keep the peace, every time you ignore discomfort to avoid an argument, every time you swallow your tears so you don't seem weak, you are signing that pact. Harding warned that a woman who doesn't allow herself to confront the other ends up confronting herself, and this creates a devastating internal conflict. Because there are two forces at play, the desire to belong and the need to be true. When these forces clash, anguish arises, emptiness, emotional exhaustion. You start playing a role, performing what is expected of you, smiling when you're sad, saying I'm fine when everything inside you is screaming. And the more time passes, the harder it is to remember who you were before that relationship. You know that feeling of being lost to yourself? That's a clear sign of emotional imprisonment. And worse, many times these relationships don't involve explicit violence, but a subtle, invisible kind of control. A psychological game where you feel responsible for the other's well-being, guilty for wanting space, insecure for desiring freedom. You start thinking, am I overreacting? What if I never find someone else? Is this just a phase? But it's not overreacting, it's intuition. It's your soul crying for help. Mary Esther Harding taught that every individuation process, becoming who you truly are, involves confronting these prisons. Not to destroy them with anger, but to see them clearly. Because only what is seen can be transformed, and this is exactly what I want to invite you to do now. Look at your story with honesty. Without judgment, without excuses, just with the courage to ask, is this relationship nourishing me or erasing me? In part 3, we'll talk about the way out, about how to reclaim your voice, your identity, and your strength. Because love that traps you is not love, and you deserve so much more than just surviving in an emotional cell. Stay with me. The key to your freedom might be on the next page. We've reached the most important part, breaking free from this cycle that traps and drains you. If you've made it this far, it means you're ready to look inward with courage and to seek a different path, a path of freedom and genuine love. Mary Esther Harding gives us precious clues for this process of liberation. First, it's essential to understand that breaking these chains is not a meaningless act of rebellion. It's an act of profound self-love. It's allowing yourself to recognize that you deserve a relationship that respects your essence, embraces your shadows and your light, and walks beside you, not on top of you. But how do you do this in practice? How do you start rebuilding your identity when it feels so worn out? Acknowledge your feelings. Stop minimizing pain, sadness, frustration. These are warning signs from your soul. Allow yourself to feel without guilt or fear. Often we cry over what we haven't yet been able to put into words. Recover your voice. Start expressing yourself. It could be through writing, talking with a trusted friend, or seeking therapy. Mary Esther Harding emphasized the importance of both internal and external dialogue for healing. You need to listen and be heard. Set boundaries. Saying no is a revolutionary step. It's not rejection of others, it's affirmation of yourself. Clear boundaries define the space where love can exist without emotional violence. Learning to say no without guilt is learning to respect yourself. Relearn to trust yourself. Many women who have lived in imprisoning relationships lose trust in their own judgment. Harding showed that feminine intuition is a beacon, and reconnecting with it is a path to healing. Trust what your body and soul tell you. Seek support. Breaking free doesn't mean doing it all alone. Surrounding yourself with people who respect your journey and your truth is essential. Therapy, support groups, and sincere friendships are bridges to freedom. Cultivate self-love. Above all, this is the core of liberation. Love yourself enough to choose yourself. Love yourself to create a safe inner space where true love can flourish. A love that doesn't imprison, but frees. Mary Esther Harding taught us that true femininity is neither passive nor submissive. It is deep, wise, and resilient. It can break invisible chains because it knows its worth and its mission in the world. And what comes after liberation? Comes the rebuilding of a life where love is a meeting, not a prison. Where partnership is based on mutual respect, freedom, and shared growth. Where being who you are is not only allowed but celebrated. You no longer need to carry the weight of guilt, fear, or doubt. Now you can open the doors of that emotional cell and take the first step toward your inner freedom. So I ask you, are you ready to choose freedom? To honor your soul above any fear, to break free from the invisible prisons disguised as love? If the answer is yes, don't wait any longer. This is your moment. Share this message with someone who needs to hear this truth, and subscribe to the channel to keep receiving messages that awaken, heal, and liberate. Because true love does not imprison. It frees, and you deserve to be free.